welcome my tarot friends. Today I'm doing a really fun tag that I wanted to do for a while, but I was thinking about which decks to choose for a very long time. So I finally made my decisions, and this is the hashtag called DECKCRUSH, and this deck was a collaboration between more tarot tubers, and they are Dawn Michelle, Danny Mystic, Marlene Teresa, and Lisa Papes. So this is a VR to all of them, and actually to more than that, because I have watched a few of these videos and I decided that I'm gonna add some more prompts to the original one, and I'm gonna tell you which channels I got them from as I go to the tags. In addition to this, I also created some of my own prompts, and yeah, I hope you enjoy this, and let's dive in. So the first prompt is the Fling, and this is a deck with which you had a short period of wild times. For this prompt I chose Tarot of the Divine. Now this deck, when I got it, I was super duper passionate about, because I love the concept behind it. I absolutely adore the fact that the creator decided to share stories from different cultures all around the world in this deck, and just to put them together in a tarot system. And yeah, this deck is absolutely beautiful, and it's actually very accurate. Every time I had a reading with it, it was very accurate. But I don't know, I read with it very intensely for a few weeks, maybe 3 weeks, and I actually purchased the book that comes with it as well, and I was learning the stories, because the book unfortunately is not following the system in tarot, so like they're random stories in a random order. I actually created my own key for the book and everything, like with colors. I put a lot of effort in it. I really thought that I'm gonna read with this deck a lot. And I did, but for a very short period of time, and then I just moved on to my other tarot decks. And yeah, I still love this deck, and maybe I will return to it one day when I'm done with the ones that I have close to my heart right now. I'm just gonna say that. So this was Tarot of the Divine. The next point we have Puppy Love, a deck with which you were infatuated but couldn't make a long-term commitment to. I'm really sad to say that this is the deck that I have chosen, but unfortunately it is, and it upsets me because, so this is the Witch's Wisdom Tarot, and it upsets me because I remember when I got it and I loved it so much, and I was watching reviews and everyone was like, I don't like, the system, I don't like the cardstock, am I growing out of this deck, like different similar topics on this deck. And I thought to myself, I don't understand this is amazing, it's absolutely beautiful, it's grounding, it's witchy, which, like, if you know me, you would know that I love witchy type of decks and pagan-y type of decks. And yeah, I used it every day, and I did the spreads that are in it, and it's absolutely beautiful, and I still love it, don't get me wrong, I still love this deck. It's just very grounding, and the images just speak to me. I love the artwork. I love Daniel Barlow's artwork. It's just so magical and something very special about it. I have never seen artwork like this before on any other deck, apart from her own deck as well. But I don't know, I just couldn't keep on using it. I mean, I still think about it a lot, and I still want to use it, but I just don't grab for it. I just don't. Like, I would think about, I could use this deck for this question, and then I'm like, nah, but I'd rather use, and then I use something else. And then I use another deck. So yeah, the Witch's Wisdom Tarot, a very special deck, very different deck, but I don't know, it hurts my heart that I don't use it as much as I intended to, and as much as I wanted to, and as much as I was cheering for it and listened to all the interviews that creator had, and I was really like invested in it. But I don't know, unfortunately, at least at the moment, I just can't make a long-term commitment to this deck. So maybe in the future one day I will return to it and see it in a different light perhaps. So next prompt is friends with benefits. Now I have 2 decks here that I want to share with you because I just couldn't choose just one because they really fall into this category. So friends with benefits is about a deck that you care about but sometimes get extremely passionate for. And I'm gonna start with this one, Tarot of the She. This deck is just very, very special and different. It's like I go for this deck when I want a really honest opinion with a different perspective, different twist than the rest of tarot decks could give me. It is just so infatuating and intense. It's very intense. So I wouldn't use this deck for every type of reading. So even though I am extremely passionate about this deck and it is in my top, I don't know which is the top 5 or top 10 list, I still would not use it for every single reading. But yeah, it is absolutely magnificent. It is charming, yet somehow harsh sometimes. It gives it to you like it is, you know. It also helps you to reflect on your inner self, like your shadow self, the parts of yourself that you don't want to look at. And I know on some days you just don't want to go there. So on those days I would not use this deck. But I do like to explore the dark side of me. So I do use this deck a lot. But it is definitely a deck that it gives me a specific benefit, if that makes sense. So yeah, this is Tarot of the She. And then, like I said, I have another deck that is that goes into this category, and that is the Enchanted Forest Tarot. So yeah, this is again a deck that I would use for very specific mood. Like again, very similar to Tarot of the She. It is the deck that I would go to when I want to look at my own dark forest or enchanted forest, you know. It is very magical. It's like magical but dark, but also very enlightening. I don't know, it just takes me to this other place. So it's a tarot deck that I would go to when I want to enter a specific different magical place that has light magic and dark magic, you know. Like for example, this 10 of Challenges it talks about how this guy, this knight, was trying to find this beast to beat, and he lived in an illusion. The beast was gone for a very long time and he was still going for it, like he was pushing through the wall kind of thing. And then he finally realized that it's done and that he's never gonna find this beast. Or like, you know, see Seeker of Challenges, the Knight of Wind or the Knight of Swords. It's a very dark card, isn't it? It's very different to the Rider-Waite-Smith Knight of Swords. Just the feeling to the card. So anyway, this is the deck that I go to when I want to feel that energy, you know. It gives me a different perspective, very different perspective to a typical Rider-Waite-Smith clone. So yeah, I absolutely adore this deck. It is magical and brilliant, but it's not appropriate for every reading for me. So that's why it falls into this category. Friends with benefits. We are really good friends, and I'm really good friends with my Tarot of the She as well. Oh wow, Ace of Boons. Next we have question number 4, Love at First Sight. So this is the deck that you love at first sight. And I remember when it was not released yet, and I looked at it and I was just like, oh my god, this deck is so beautiful. It's everything that I want in a deck. Like literally. So this is Tarot of the Witch's Garden, and this deck is literally everything I love in a deck. I felt like this about the deck from the very start. The only thing that turned me off it was the fact that at the beginning they misprinted the Wheel of Fortune and Justice, like numbers on the cards, and then they fixed it. And like I said in another video, if you sent them an email to the Llewellyn, they would send you a new deck for free of any charge from America to the UK for free. It was incredible. So Yes, I edged this one in this beautiful foresty green. And it's everything I love in a deck. It is diverse. It has linen cardstock, which I personally love, love, love. It is magical. It is pagan-y, witchy. It is the guidebook that comes with it is written so well. I've done a full review of this deck, so check it out here. But yeah, it's just everything that I love in a deck. The cardstock, I really like this cardstock. I know that some people don't, but I actually do. It's easy to shuffle. It is small-ish. It's not too small and not too big, so it's a perfect size. I love watercolors so much. It's my favorite medium, so the fact that it's in watercolors as well. I love Natasha Ilincic's artwork. It's just so beautiful. It takes me into this different world. But yeah, I fell in love with this deck when I didn't even have it in my hands, and then I had it in my hands and I fell in love all over again. And then I fell in love with it all over again when I received my new copy that had correct printing of numbers on it. So now it is a perfect deck for me. So yeah, I love it so much. It's just so emotive and expressive. Look at her. You know? And I love the fact that it's happening in one setting, which is the witch's garden. And yeah, it's real. It's not cheesy, you know. It's not too gentle. It's not too harsh. It's something in between. And I love that they're using this type of creatures in it as well, so it's not just humans. And the diversity in it is just so beautiful as well. So yes, this was Love at First Sight, Tarot of the Witch's Garden. Next on we have One Night Stand. A deck you tried out but move on from almost immediately. Sometimes you still think about it. And this is Oak, Ash and Thorn. And yeah, it saddens me because I thought this deck is gonna be a deck that I'm gonna be super duper connected to. And I kinda am, but I don't know. I literally read with this deck maybe 3 times. Maybe 4. It is beautiful. It is absolutely gorgeous. Like the paintings or drawings, I'm not sure, the medium that the artist used are stunning. And I would put these paintings on the wall. But I don't know. I struggle use it for readings. I don't know why, because I do love animal energy. It's not that I don't like animal energy. I love animal energy. If you know me, you know I love animals. I love animals on a deeper sense than just, oh, they're cute, you know. And the pictures speak really well. The messages are spoken through pictures really well. I do not know. I don't understand. I don't understand myself why I don't use this deck. In theory, I should be using this deck every day. In practice, I never use it. Ever. So yeah. Sadly to say this, but yeah, this is my One Night Stand deck. Oak, Ash and Thorn. The next question is, we were on a break. So we were on a break and we still are. This is Osho's Tarot. So this is my first deck. I got this before I knew what tarot was. I used this without knowing I was reading tarot cards. I was into Osho's teachings at that time, and later on I learned about Osho and, you know, how he was as a man, so I don't read his books anymore. These are the backs. This is if I remember correctly, this version was published in 2003. This deck is very different, and I see it on tarotubers' channels a lot, and it is very special, and it portrays the messages of each card beautifully, and it is really great. But I just stopped using it when I found the world of tarot, like when I realized, you know, what tarot is, and I realized how many different decks there are, and I started actually learning tarot, because I was using this card cards without realizing I was reading tarot. I was using it literally for other people as well, and I was using spreads, but it didn't click in my head. It was just like I was doing it, I don't know, it's like I was connected to the universe and just doing what I'm supposed to do, I suppose. So my subconscious knew what I was supposed to do before I did. But yeah, you can see that the cards are really like worn out, like they look dirty, maybe because it's a glossy cardstock, but and the edges are really worn out. But yeah, so I stopped using it when I discovered the world of tarot and how many options we have when we're using our decks. And I'm thinking in the future to actually reconnect with this deck. I'm gonna cut the borders off, and so it looks a bit fresher. And I will clean each card and I will return to it because it brings a very special value to a reading. It is very spiritual and very, very deep. And the messages that come through are appropriate, I'm gonna say, for each card. So yeah, this was the first one. I have two for this category as well. So this was Osho Zen Tarot. And another one is Tarot of the Owls. When I got this deck, I was so obsessed with it. I use it all the time. And then I don't know what happened. I got a few other decks and then I just kind of forgot about it. And then the other day I was reading for someone and I was like, oh my god, why did I stop using this deck? So this deck is back. So I'm using it again. It is so fun. It is so fun, like, and beautiful. It's not just fun, it's beautiful. It is so accurate, and the owls' expressions on their faces and the way they interact with each other and with their environment, it just speaks for itself. It's so obvious. So yeah, I love this deck so much. Like I said before, I love animals and owls are very special. I always loved owls. They've been a part of my childhood and young adulthood a lot because, like I said in the previous videos, I used to live next to forests, so I would hear them, I would see them, I would sense them, because owls are very hard to spot because they're so quiet when they fly around. Sometimes you just feel them, you know. But yes, I love this deck. I think the cards speak for themselves. I don't really have to explain why. I mean, come on, look at this Knight of Cups. Just the way he's moving is so just Knight of Cuppy. Like, he's glamorous, romantic, charming, infatuating, you know. I love this. And the colors speak so beautifully through this deck as well. The use of colors, they create this mood that speaks through. Man, love this. So this one is coming back and I am excited to use it in the future. And as you can see, I edged it in this beautiful purple. This was Tarot of the Owls. The next question we have is, which is my marriage material deck? And it would come with no surprise that this is the one and only the Herb Crafter's Tarot. A deck that has proven its value to you. Where can I start? This deck is just amazing on so many levels. Like, it has proven to me every single time I used it. I only use it for myself because it's very personal to me. It reminds me of my childhood, of a place I come from, which is a country that is green, very green, and I am super duper connected to nature. So I live in a city and this deck provides me with that Narnia place for me. Like, every time I use this deck, I feel like I opened the gate to Narnia and I step into it. And these images just speak so beautifully to me. Like, I can journey in each card. I path work with this deck a lot. I am at the moment doing a series on it, so stay tuned. Yeah, I'm gonna go through each number. So I'm going through 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s throughout all 4 suits, and I connect those numbers to major arcana as well. Then I'm gonna do a major arcana episodes separately as well. I'm gonna deep dive into each card. So anyways, this deck has proven to me, because every time I use it, not only gives me that fluffy feeling that everything is possible, and it provides me with answers. It's like a warm hug, this deck for me. And you can do shadow work with it as well. It's not like it's all lovey-dovey positive. It's not. You know, you can get so many different messages from this. And yeah, it's never gonna leave my side. I can't see using any deck more than this one, or having feelings that I have for this deck with any other deck. Is that a thing, having feelings for a deck? I don't know, that's just how it makes me feel. Like, I am all in with this deck, let's call it this way. So yeah, this was the Herb Crafter's Tarot. The next prompt we have is Happily Ever After, Your True Love in a Deck. Now, I have 3. I don't know, the marriage material and Happily Ever After kinda should be the same thing, no? But yeah, I have 3. This is like 3 decks that are definitely my Happily Ever After. Nudity alert, by the way. So let's start with Tot. So I don't know if you heard me talking about this, but ooh, a very dark card. Failure. Sorry. I talked in another video that I don't know enough about Tot yet, but I have a feeling, like deep down, that this is gonna be a deck. Oh, it's forever, it's a lifetime study, I feel. But when I learn more about it, let's just say it this way, that it's going to provide me with so much knowledge and information and esoteric knowledge. And I feel in each of these cards, you get so much, like it's so honest and direct. And all you need to do is find those symbols and meanings for them. Or maybe you just know them. Like if you know astrology and sacred geometry and the Golden Dawn knowledge, I feel this deck is probably going to become my main deck at some point. I feel, because I learned on the Rider-Waite-Smith system. But it's funny because this deck, look at that, Ace of Discs again. This deck has been calling to me since the first time I saw it. On Amazon one time, I remember at the beginning, I was just searching tarot decks, you know, and I saw this artwork and I was like, oh my god, this is perfect, this is beautiful, like this is just down my alley. And then I realized that it's a different system, and I saw some of the keywords and, you know, they don't go exactly with the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot's meanings. So I was like turned away from it because of that. It's like my ego saying, no, you can't do this. And I know I can, and I will, and I cannot wait for it. So this is definitely a deck that I just know in my bones that we're going to be happily ever after together. The next one that I have in this category as well is very similar. Not in the way it looks, but just the depth in it. So that is Tarot of the Spirit. And this deck has as well, just like Tot, so much in each card that I feel it is a life study. And I have the 2 books that come with it. One that was published when the deck was released, and a newer one that is even more full of information. And yes, I am so excited to dive into this. I feel this one and the Liberty Tarot and Tot, I'm going to be studying them side by side. Because even though this one is not based on Tarot, it is based on Kabbalah, and I know Kabbalah is reflected in Tot a lot as well. So I am very, very intrigued by this. And I already use it, by the way. I just, you know, look at it and intuitively read what the card is telling me. And then I would also go in the book and check the meaning of it. But there's like pages and pages on each card, which is absolutely incredible. So it is not something... it is not a deck at the moment that I would use for big spreads. I would usually use 1 or 2 or 3 cards at the time. But I absolutely love this fine art. It was done by Joyce Eakins, so the author's mother. And she is a fine artist as well. Like an artist that has galleries full of her art. I know it should matter, but to me that just brings an extra layer of worth to a deck. This is just my personal opinion, of course. But I love when people who actually study art create decks, because I feel they know more what they're doing, although it's not always like that. For example, Tarot of the She was done by someone who is not, she doesn't call herself an artist at all, and yet it brings so much to the table. So yeah, ooh, those were the backs. Yeah, so this is Tarot of the Spirit. Okay, and the next one in this category is the Mary L. Tarot. Now, same reason behind this one. I feel like each painting brings so much to the table, and it shows a different perspective on each card that you would get in any of the systems, and I love it for it. I feel it just brings so much to the table. It brings depth. It shines a light on things you don't want to look at, I feel, or things that you might avoid. It is very honest, and I love that because I am a very honest person. So it kind of reminds me of the darker part of myself, if that makes sense. So yeah, this deck is definitely another one in the category of my happily ever after. I just love it. Look, it's so beautiful. And again, the author is a fine artist, and you can see that there was like so much time put in each and every painting, and she done so much research as well on her part, and she connects knowledge from all around in each card, and I love that. It really represents a book of life for me, and I definitely want to have that book of life next to me when I journey through my life. So this was the Mary L. Tarot. So the next prompt was done by Channel Days or Chanel Days. I'm not sure how to pronounce this, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna write it here. And it is a prompt called Divorce, a deck you thought you'd be with forever but ended up parting with. I didn't physically part with this deck yet. I still keep it because of the art and it's just so beautiful, but it is my Mermaid Tarot. So that is a tarot deck that I got it and I thought I'm gonna have it as my soul deck and it's gonna be everything to me, and then it just wasn't. I just struggled reading with this, to be brutally honest with you, even though it is stunning and diverse and I love the artwork so much. I just can't read with it. I don't know. I just don't know. Like, some of the cards, the messages just don't come through like they should for me. And I mean, you could use it knowing exactly what the meanings of Rider-Waite-Smith's cards are, like, easily, because you read it and you know what it means. And a lot of the cards portray the meanings very well, but a lot of them don't for me. So I still have it, but I never ever use it, and I think I'm just gonna keep it as a collectible for one day, maybe, if it goes out of print or something. So yeah, this was the Mermaid Tarot. Then the next prompt is the one that got away. This was done by Jenny from Haunted Acre Farm, and I obviously don't have them. There are a few decks, so these are the Blood Moon Tarot, the Victorian Fairy Tarot, and the Majestic Earth Tarot. So those are the decks that unfortunately got away. Maybe one day they will come in print again and I will be able to get them, but until then, they are the ones that got away. So the next prompt was done by Roots and Waves, and it is Soul Connection deck, a deck you thought was going to be just a crush but went way deeper than you could have ever anticipated, and that to me is my Vision Quest Tarot. I remember looking at this deck and absolutely loving the art and the energy behind it. I was looking at it on Amazon and I did not buy it for a very long time because I knew that it had minor arcana were not scenes. Well, it was more pipish. Later on, I found out that it's actually based on the Tot system. But yeah, I didn't get it for a very long time, and then I did. And then I started reading with it. And I thought, it's gonna be a deck I'm gonna be very, infatuated by because it's just so gorgeous. But then when I started reading with it and looking into the cards, oh man, the depth of this. And it's just so spiritual. It is just so absolutely beautiful. And the little white guidebook, this is literally my top 5 decks. the little white guide, you know, in a little small white book like this, it just gives you so much information, and it shines a light on a different aspect of the card that you would usually think about when you think of, you know, the meaning of the card. It is definitely based on thought as well, but it's just more, it just brings so much to the table. And oh man, it is very deep for me. It's hard to put in words, really. It's like it washes me with this, not just information, but with love and guidance. And I feel all the elements come through so beautifully in this deck as well. And it is age diverse, which I really love as well. And it's based on the indigenous Native American teachings. Yeah, it's just so beautiful. So this was the Vision Quest Tarot. Also, the messages that come through are so on point every single time. Love, 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 love this deck so much. So this was the Vision Quest Tarot. The next two prompts were done by My Lived In Lives by Chrissy. And the first one is the fallback. So if we aren't married by 45, is always there but expects no commitment. And for me, this is the Star Tarot. This is the deck that if I'm not sure which deck to use, I would always return to this one, because this deck, it just every single time I use it is there for me. It gives me messages on many different levels. I did a whole review on this deck right here if you want to check it out. But yeah, it is a deck that if all the rest of the decks would leave me and say bye, I don't want to work with you anymore, this one would wait for me and always give me its warm hand that is also cold at the same time, because this deck delivers the messages, you know, very straight on, very directly. But yeah, I absolutely adore it, and I still use it every day. I use it for myself and for other people. The guidebook that comes with it is just so well written that, you know, even if I had to like keep one guidebook of all of the guidebooks that I have, it would have to be this one, just because it brings so much into each card. Like, it connects it to numerology, to astrology, to elements, to the thought system, to the Rider-Waite system, to so much more. Like, I don't even know where to start and where to end. Yeah, so this is the fallback deck, the Star Tarot. The next prompt that comes from the same channel is called, which made me laugh actually, the Derek Shepherd. The deck you brought home because it was pretty and had good hair and then fell in love. And that for me is the Japaritza Tarot. And why is that? Is because it is obviously absolutely stunning, fine art stuff again. And yeah, I just was intrigued by the art. So I brought it home, I got it home, and I started reading with it, and I was like, whoa, this is just so good. Like, even though I never thought the messages are gonna come through so beautifully in this deck, they really do, because it is very unusual, right? For example, the Two of Wands here. It is very unusual, but the messages come through so well, and they bring a different perspective. And the guidebook that comes with it, it's so well written. It's like you also get the full picture here, which I love. And then I don't know, they just chosen the messages to come through, and the messages they chose for each, because you know each card has so much depth in it generally in tarot, but the messages that they chose are just perfect for this deck. I absolutely adore it so much. So yeah, the Japaritza Tarot, my Derek Shepherd's deck. For those of you who are like, who the heck is Derek Shepherd? If you watch Grey's Anatomy, you will know. It is like the main character, the main male character, the main love interest of the main female character. And he has a special character, you know, very strong character, just like this deck. So it really makes sense to me. This prompt was perfect for this deck. I just don't want to stop flipping through because it's so beautiful. But yeah, so this was the Japaritza Tarot. And now we are going to the prompts that I created, because I had a few more decks that didn't fit in any of the categories that were given to me or given to us through the original creators of this tag and through other people who added on. And these prompts are, feel free to use them, by the way, like feel free to use them. So the first one is a long-term relationship. So it is the deck that you were together or had for a very long time, and you worked with it for a very long time, but in the end it turned out it wasn't the one. So for me, this is the Light Seers Tarot. I work with this so much. Once again, I have a full review of it right here. It is an amazing deck, don't get me wrong. It is absolutely amazing. But I feel that, yeah, even though it provided me with so much and it was with me for a very, very long time, and it still is, it's just on the shelf because I don't use it. Yeah, it's just not the one, literally. I felt instant connection, and I was committed to this deck for a very long time, and I've read with it for other people, for myself. It always provided me with so much insight into the situations I was reading in. And then I just found out other decks, like the Hercrafters, like the Japaritza, like the Vision Quest Tarot, like the Witch's Garden Tarot, etc. And those just pressed a button that this deck never pressed, if that makes sense. So yeah, this is my long-term relationship that didn't work out. The next prompt I created is called The Unexpected Love Affair. So a deck you thought you had no interest in, but then you held it in your hands and it all changed. So let's start firstly with the Unfolding Path Tarot. So I also created a full review of this deck if you're interested. So yeah, this deck, I was like, I'm not sure about it. I wasn't sure if I was interested in it because I thought, wrongly of course, that it is a deck that is very similar to the Light Seers Tarot, and it really isn't. Like on the first ball it might seem like that, but it really isn't. It's just, for me, so much more. Not only it is super duper diverse and inclusive on all levels you can imagine, but the colors that they use speak through the deck so beautifully, and it's very obvious, very easy to read. I use it for other people all the time, like literally all the time. I feel it's gonna deliver like the answers that you need to hear without being too philosophical about it. And yeah, it's unexpected love affair. Like, I absolutely love this deck and I use it all the time. And it replaced my Light Seers, basically. It did. And I cannot see myself stop using this deck ever. Especially for other people. Everyone that I read for feels seen through these cards, you know? And that to me is so important, because we live in a diverse world that is full of people who are all different. And that brings the beauty to the world, that we're all different. That is what brings value. That is what brings, you know, differences through which we can learn about each other and build bridges and basically develop as a species, you know. So, are we a species? I'm not even sure. I do apologize if we are not a species. Are we? Basically as humans, anyway. Yeah. So I love this deck so much. And then the next one that comes into this category is the Margarete Petersen Tarot. So this is the deck that also I saw on one of the channels, and I thought to myself, whoa, this is a bit too abstract for me, I thought. But I was wrong. It is not. It has brought so much value to my readings. It brings, again, another different perspective to each reading. Like, I feel these are the type of decks that I really appreciate, that bring something else to the table than what so they bring what the, let's say if they're based on Rider-Waite-Smith, right? So they bring what the classical Rider-Waite-Smith would bring, but more, if that makes sense. So this is one of them decks. It's also very pleasing to the eye, so yeah. I am absolutely in love with this deck. I'm thinking to trim it, I'm not sure. If I do, I'm gonna just write with a Sharpie on the paintings, because I'm not too keen on the borders, to be honest with you. I like the art to stand out because it deserves to, you know? And yeah, you can do path working with this deck as well, which I like doing, or meditate with each card. And, you know, keep it in your third eye whilst you meditate. And then intuitively just messages are gonna come through for you. So this was Margarete Peterson. The Unexpected Love Affairs. I created another category which is called Out of Your League. So out of your league is deck that you thought was out of your league. So it was a deck that you thought was too challenging, basically, or just too much and you just couldn't work with it. Or yeah, it was just, yeah, for me this represents a deck that it was too smart. Like, I felt it was too smart for me, that I could never understand. And I have two decks here. Also, feel free to look at this look at this category differently. Like, it was out of your league and then you realize it's not, or it was out of your league, you got it, and you realize it is still out of your league. It can be both. So for me, this is the Tot and my Liberty, which both kind of go together. Liberty is based on Tot, but so Tot. Wow, Tot is the only deck that went into two categories. Nudity alert again. So yeah, Liberty, I trimmed mine because I did not like the borders at all. And yeah, anyways, Liberty Tarot is so full, so full of knowledge. Unfortunately, there's no proper guidebook with it, so you need to do your own research to truly understand it, which of course I have not done yet. Oh, is this turn around? Of course. Yeah. Oh yeah, because this one goes down, which is different. Anyways, so these are the two decks that yet still I do not understand yet, but I am very willing to. And for a long time I thought, you know, as a tarot reader, oh, I'm just not on that level yet. But I feel I am ready. All I need to do is jump into each of them or together. And so the Liberty is, like I said, based on Tot, but the minor arcana each has its own scene, which makes it maybe even a bit easier to read than Tot. And it's just such wonderful art as well. I really like the art. They both have beautiful art, you know. This one is maybe a bit more simple, like it takes off the layers that Tot has, so it's a bit, yeah, it might be a bit easier to read. But yes, these are my out of my league decks that are not out of my league anymore. Or at least not for... No, they're not anymore. So oh look, there we go. We can compare these two together. As you can see, this one, it has all the things on it still, but it's just the way it's drawn, just art maybe stands out a little bit more. and some layers of perhaps geometry might be stripped back. Because for example, this snake here stands out way more than here, right? You would need to look twice for here to see the snake, but here it's very obvious. So yeah, I love it for that. Anyways, these were Thought and Liberty. I have two more categories. First one is the platonic love, so a deck that you connected to on a spiritual level. I have a very special deck for this prompt, and it is the Shimmering Veil Tarot. This deck is just, yeah, like the prompt says, it is a deck that I connected to on a spiritual level. It feels like this deck was channeled and the divine messages coming through it. It is just so spiritual to me. It is platonic. It is not a love affair. It is just you connect with it on a different level, on a heart level, and you understand each other level. Like, I feel this deck reflects the universe and the knowledge of the universe and the spirit to me. I do apologize about the light, it is a bit annoying. But yeah, I hesitated for a while to get this deck just because it is, it is an independent deck, so it costs a little bit more money. But boy, I'm so happy I got it, because it truly provides me with a very different value than any other deck that I have. It is just so cosmical. Is that a word? I feel like the cosmos shines through this deck. It's like the light beings speak through this deck to me. And I feel it is a deck that not everyone can understand. I feel like you need to be a spiritual being to truly appreciate this deck and the messages that come through. And the guidebook is written so beautifully. So yeah, this is my platonic love deck. The platonic love. Oh, I love this one so much. 7 of discs, or 7 of earth in this case. So yes, this was the Shimmering Veil Tarot. Oh, and I love the gilding, look at that. How gorgeous is that? The last category that I created is called Celebrity Crush. And these are the decks that are hard to get for you. Whatever your reason is, please share that if you use this prompt. But for me, these are the decks. So I'm gonna put the pictures here so you can see them. So the first one is the Tabula Mundi or Tabula Mundi, I'm not sure how to pronounce this. Then Thought Journey Tarot, the Modern Love Tarot, Tarot of the Abyss, the Little Sister Tarot, and the Science Tarot. So these are the decks that I really, really want in 2025, because I'm doing a no-buy for 2024. I hope they stay in print until then. That's what I'm gonna say. And now I would like to also tag a few people, because I would love to see their take on this deck so much. And these people are, first is Sarah from Tangi Tarot. Then I would like to see Robin from Robin's Reflections take on this. Then Sadhana from Integrative Healing with Sadhana. I would like to see Joanna's take on this from Spiritual Love Healer. Then Will from Atypical Tarot, and the last but not least, Annette from Project Refined Life. So no hard feelings if you don't do this tag, by the way, to all these people that I tagged. But I personally would really love to see your choices for this themed tag. So thank you so much for joining me today. I am so grateful if you stayed until the end. I'm grateful for every comment, for every like, for every time you watch my videos. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And yeah, I hope you have a wonderful day, night, evening, morning, whenever you're watching this video. And I will see you again soon. Bye bye.